What's up guys? So I wanted to go ahead and do a video on the S21 Ultra versus the Pixel 6 Pro. These are two very awesome older flagship phones that you can buy today, which I think have just excellent value for the price right now. I just did a video on the Pixel not too long ago, this phone is like $289, $300 pretty much in the USA. The S21 Ultra is like $100 more, so this phone is still trending around $400, and it's just an awesome deal. You can even find it, I think, a little cheaper on eBay for like $350. So I want to go ahead and compare these two because, man, whichever phone you get, I think you're going to be really happy with. But I just want people to know about these phones because they're just such awesome deals. So let's go ahead and talk about the build quality of these two phones. So I think the build quality has definitely stood up. Just two very nice looking phones. I think the S21 Ultra just looks awesome here. I think it just has that really cool sci-fi look to it. Pixel has its own unique look with the camera bar as well too. They both look great, feel great, both glass and metal phones. The S21 Ultra does have that really nice matte finish, which I really like. Doesn't really pick up fingerprints like that. But the S21 Ultra, for a big phone like this, this is extremely easy to hold because it's not as boxy. The Pixel it's easy to hold, but again, it's a little boxy. But the S21 Ultra is just very smooth. It's a little bit thinner, it feels like, in the hand, or not thinner, but it's like more narrow. So it's just easier to hold for people with smaller hands. So that's one thing that I just really like about these phones here. And honestly, they both kind of feel the same in weight. Like I said, almost the same size as well too. So two just very beautiful phones. They're both IP68 dust and water resistant as well too. Alright, next let's go ahead and talk about the display. So the S21 Ultra has a 6.8 inch dynamic AMOLED display. It's 120Hz HDR10+, 1500 nits peak brightness, 1440p, 515 for the PPI. The Pixel does have the LTPO AMOLED display, also 120Hz HDR10+, and it is also a 1440p display, 512 for the PPI. So the S21 Ultra does have a slightly bigger display, but you can barely, tell. But as you can see, the displays are extremely similar. They pretty much look the same in terms of color. Like I said, the only difference with the display that you will notice is the slight design. So you can see that the S21 Ultra is not as curved as the Pixel, and you also have a more boxier shape on the Pixel as well too. But two, very beautiful phones, two very beautiful screens on here. So they just look awesome. So it really comes down to your personal preference. But like I said, if you have smaller hands, I think the S21 Ultra is actually more comfortable to hold. So definitely keep that into consideration. Alright, so we are running Android 13 on both of these phones. And like I said, there are two different approaches to Android here. With the Pixel, you have a more stock version of Android. It's more clean. It's not a lot going on. It's just very Google, right? It's got all the Google applications, and that's pretty much it. The benefits with stock Android is that you get updates really fast. So when Android 14 comes out, you get the beta first, you get the update when it releases. So you get updates really fast. With One UI, it's the complete opposite. There's a ton of stuff that Samsung throws in here, a ton of additional features. Samsung desktop support, secure folders. There's just a ton of stuff in here that you can mess around with and play with and customize, and even going as far as, if you guys check out Good Lock, you can even bring the customization to a whole nother level, completely change a lot about the phone. So there's a lot to like about both operating systems. It just depends on whether you're one of those people that customize a lot. If not, then you probably will end up liking the Pixel a little bit more. As far as like animations and stuff, I've always thought the Pixel just felt really smooth. One UI feels very smooth, with Android 13 update. I don't know, it's just something about the Pixel that feels just really smooth with the animations. It might just be in my head, I might just be a fanboy of it, I don't know. But it just feels like really smooth. So let me know, guys, if you guys got a Pixel, do you guys feel like the animations are a little bit smoother, or the operating system just feels a little bit more fluid? Now, as far as the specs, let's go ahead and hop into that. Now, for the specs, the S21 Ultra, it is running the Snapdragon AAA processor, and then we also have on here 128 gigs of internal storage and 12 gigs of RAM. I think this one is a 256 though. And then with the Pixel, we have the original Google Tensor chip, and then 128 gigs of internal storage and 12 gigs of RAM as well. You can see the S21 Ultra slightly higher with these scores here, especially in the multi-core score. So it is definitely a more powerful phone. If you were to like benchmark it and stuff like that, it definitely is more powerful if you threw it into Antutu and stuff like that. Now, for the average person, you're not gonna really notice too much of a difference with speed on these two phones. They, like I said, they feel very fast, still feel like a flagship phone, and they will continue to, guys. Years and years from now, these phones are still gonna run buttery smooth here. But yeah. You guys can see here. Let me launch something else. Let's launch Subway Surf. The AAA processor, like I said, and both these phones, they do kind of get a little warm when you're gaming for long periods of time as well too. You guys can see that difference with the AAA. Just a little bit faster. Like I said, not like super noticeable. It seems to only be with like games. Oh wow, it's the wrong application. Let's try it again. Earth. So you can see the AAA is just slightly faster, but it's not really a big deal. Let's go ahead and try PUBG here. A little bit heavier game. See which one gets in faster. Looks like the S21 Ultra, as expected, and a Pixel right behind it. Now, both of these play at the same exact settings. They can both do HDR Extreme, so they can hold 60 frames pretty well for PUBG. Both very smooth. Unfortunately, there's no 90 hertz option on these phones, or 90 frames option on these two. But your gaming experience is going to be definitely pretty good. I feel like the AAA chip heats up a little bit more than the Pixel, honestly. Like I said, that's only during like, longer periods of gaming, but I definitely feel like it's a hotter phone for sure. But let's just come in here and make sure we're still getting those smooth frame rates. Put it on HDR. Oh, the Pixel, it does not have HDR Extreme. It's only HDR Ultra here. Yeah, so this phone is more than capable of playing it at HDR Extreme. It just doesn't have it. Yeah, so that was one thing I forgot about that. The S21 Ultra, definitely it does have it. So like I said, if you're a gamer, that extra money, that extra $100 would definitely be worth it to just get the S21 Ultra, because it seems to be just better optimized for games, like I said, and also it just has a stronger chipset in general. So yeah, I would definitely go with the S21 Ultra if I was like, a serious gamer. Alright, so both of these phones have stereo speakers, so let's go ahead, we're at max volume, let's see which one sounds the best. S21. Yeah, the bass is definitely a little bit more present on the Pixel. It kind of depends on how you like the sound signature, because they're both about the same in terms of loudness. But the Pixel just has more emphasis on the bass. I like the more bassy sound on the Pixel, actually. But they both sound pretty good, and the vibration motors on these two phones are pretty strong as well too. Alright, so here's the massive difference with these two phones, and it really comes down to your personal preference. And I want to talk about the cameras, guys. So here's a big difference, I think the selling point here. So the S21 Ultra still has a pretty amazing camera setup. It's got a 108 megapixel standard, 10 megapixel periscope telephoto, it does 10x optical zoom, then a 10 megapixel telephoto that does 3x optical zoom. You have a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and then you also have 8K 24 video with a 40 megapixel selfie cam as well, shoots in 4K 60. You also have zoom up to 100 times as well. So if you're somebody that's really into zooming, and let's say you're at a sporting event or something like that, I think you'll really like the S21 Ultra. The Pixel, on the other hand, and it comes down to image processing, guys. So let me know which, photos you like better. The Pixel, it does have a 50 megapixel standard, 48 megapixel telephoto. It does only 4x optical zoom. And then you have a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and it does 4K 60. Also 11.1 megapixel selfie cam, and it only shoots in 4K 30. So this comes down to, basically, do you zoom a lot, and pretty much which stills do you like better? Alright guys, here is the S21 Ultra video. Here's our 10x. Tons of detail here. And then here's our 0.6. Alright guys, here's the video on the Pixel. Here's our 0.7. 2x. 4x. Alright, so here's one thing that I just really like about Samsung phones. Samsung phones have the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, so you can sort of tap it and it can still register it, right? Like lightly tap it. With the optical ones like the Pixel, you can't lightly tap it. You actually have to apply a little bit of pressure. Now, it still works. There's no issue with that. But like I said, I like where you can lightly tap it. It feels a bit more natural to me. Also, Samsung gives you the choice to be able to do face unlock. With the Pixel 6 Pro, you can do it on the Pixel 7 Pro, but with the 6 Pro, you can only do the fingerprint scanner. So definitely the biometrics, I would give it to Samsung just for having two options, and it's also just faster, right? Let's go ahead and get into battery life here. So battery life is pretty interesting on both of these phones. So with the S21 Ultra, it has a 5,000 milliamp battery, and then you also have 25-watt wired charging, wireless and reverse wireless charging. The Pixel pretty much has 5,000 milliamp battery as well, 23-watt wired charging, 23-watt wireless charging, and then you also have the reverse wireless charging. Basically, the battery life pretty much feels the same to me on these two phones. They both can get around 6 hours of screen on time, and I'm going to do a battery drain test, just an updated one to show you guys. But for older flagships, I think they definitely can get you through the day. My only issue with these phones is they both kind of drain like with standby time. So I just noticed they're not anywhere near as good as like the Pixel 7 Pro or like even the S23 Ultra. These phones, like, they just sort of drain during standby time. And I know you guys are gonna say, well, Matt, it's because you're running live wallpapers. I just started running live wallpapers, guys. I've always pretty much used still wallpapers. So these phones, decent battery life. I give it like a B plus, but definitely could be better. All right, so that's pretty much it, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Be sure to let me know which phone would you buy. Would you save the extra $100 and go with the Pixel 6 Pro? Would you spend that extra 100, go with the S21?